Okay, everyone, so we are going to just look at, I just want to play around a few of the things that we've looked at. So we last left off with Mr. Smith, who began with the hair color of brown, but let's imagine that he dyed his hair, and so we're going to set color to red. And we find when we ask the computer what his hair color initially, it's brown, and then of course the next time around it's red, and we see in our output here. And the thing that I want to highlight here, sort of as I was saying in class last week, that there isn't a lot of inherent complexity to the way that programming languages work. There's actually much more in complexity in sort of human languages, English being an example of a very complex one. But that, obviously a lot of complexity can be generated by the way that things are combined. And so what I want to just highlight here is a few different ways that we can, a few different forms that some of these things can take. So we have we saw up here we have our variable Mr. Smith. We have introduced Mr. Smith. We have not provided any information about him. We have a number. We've created a variable, right, var, that box in memory. We've given it the label of Smith age, and we've said put a 47 in that box. He's 47 years old. We have a list of items that he offers in his bakery that we've decided he has. And we offer that as a list. And in this case, we've offered it as a list of strings. Now, I want to highlight, I'm first going to introduce one last data type, and that data type is known as a Boolean. Var is Smith employed. Okay. And a Boolean is simply a true or a false. That's all there is to it. So anytime that we need something, we need to be able to test if something is true or false. We want to set something to true or false. It's described as a Boolean variable. That's kind of all. These keywords, so the main point here is that we can see that when we type true, it turns red, the way that the numbers turn red, which basically is a way of the computer indicating that this is a data type that it recognizes natively. So very often when we talk about data types, we talk about simple versus complex data types. So a number is a simple data type, right? In that it consists only of itself. A number is a number is a number is a number, right? It can be a decimal or not a decimal, but the point is that it's just itself. Same thing here. A Boolean is a simple data type. Because again, it can only have the value of true or false. And when we use true and false without quotations around them, they have this special status. They are Boolean, and it's a way that we use to compare things. And we'll see that later when we start to talk about functions. The last simple data type is strings, again, because a string is simply itself. It can't contain anything else. So actually, let's just use our existing string here. We have Smith's Bakery. And that is a string, right? So something is one of these things. It can't be both. It can't be both a number and a string. It can't be both a Boolean and a number, right? It's only one of these things. Now, that is not the case when we get to the so-called complex data types. Oops, need a comment there. Following are the simple data types. Okay, and then arrays and objects are known as complex data types because they can contain all of the other data types as well as themselves and each other. So what that means is that we can have Smith items, but Smith items could be rolls, heroes, baguettes. It could be also, let's say, an object that has, it could be tea. It could be peach tea, right? It could be a special type of tea that is peach. It could be, I don't know, I suppose it could be the number 56 for no apparent reason. I can also put an array in here that is, that I know to be toppings. It could be onions, onions, tomatoes, and mustard, let's say, right? So what we see is we can start to then compose these data types. So now I have an array that has all kinds of different things in it. The same thing goes for my object here. I already know that I can have strings and numbers, but I could also have it be, I could have an object here that's feet, 5 inches. How tall did I make him before? 71 inches? I don't know, 5 feet, 11 inches, let's just call it, right? I could also have, I could have a list of, I don't know, siblings or something. He's got a sibling named um, Peter, and he's got a sibling named Nyla. Okay? So what we see is that these complex data types can contain each other and themselves, and that's really the main thing that we want to emphasize. So you can see how the complexity, even though we only have this handful of data types, you can start to create some pretty complex structures here. The thing that I want to also highlight to you, whether you've done the JSON reading or not yet, is to take a look at this structure, this sort of curly braces, and then we have what we call the name of a property and its value, or an attribute and its value, right, separated by a colon with a comma, and this ability to compose this. This is JSON. This is essentially JSON, JavaScript object notation. And the reason why JSON became popular as a data type is precisely because it mirrors the native object structure that we find in JavaScript, and thus it's very easy for JavaScript to kind of take these JSON objects and pull them apart and manipulate them, and that's exactly the reason why we see it having gained such popularity in the last several years. So that's really the main thing that I wanted to highlight here. We're also going to, I'm going to have you guys look at, in class we're going to look at some concepts around functions. I like to think of functions as recipes, and there are certain kinds of actions and recipes. The functions are sort of like the verbs of programming, right? So we've covered our sort of types of nouns here, and now we're going to move into verbs. But just the thing that you guys should do is just try to play around with this before class if you have a chance. See what you can make of it, and we will take a look at all of this and a few more concepts in class next week.